Hello, welcome. I'm so glad to have you with us here today at Penobscot Marine Museum. Please put questions and comments below. We love hearing from you. Today I will read several excerpts of diaries and letters to and from children in Penobscot Bay in the 19th century. You will get glimpses of daily life for children at school, work, and play. Throughout, you'll also see a little of what it is like to live in a seafaring world where families are separated for years at a time and many fathers have been lost at sea. It should be kept in mind that the following writings are all from young people who grew up with a certain privileged level of education. The fact that they are writing also means that they probably have a more comfortable life than most of the other children in Penobscot Bay. We only hear briefly about children who do not even have enough clothes to cover themselves. This is Harry Eugene Dao at 6 years old. Harry was born here in Searsport in 1876, son of Captain Leroy Dow and Ella Havener. The Chinese artist Yu Qua used a daguerreotype to make the painting. Harry Dow grew up on ships and became a captain in his 20s. This letter I'm about to read was written by Lillias Griffin, age 15, to her 13-year-old cousin Ferdinand. Ferdinand was at sea, headed to China at the time in 1876. Lillias's father died at sea when she was 2. In the following letter, she has just started teaching school. Searsport, September 9th, 1876. My dear cousin Ferdy, I presume you have heard that I was to teach school here this fall. I commenced last Monday, have kept 1 week, and like it very much. The scholars are real good, much better than I expected they would be, and I get along with them all nicely. But every night I'm so tired that I can't do anything but sit down and rest and go to bed early. Finney is a real good little boy in school now. He does not leave his seat at all without permission. Ida Averill is just the same as ever, worse if anything. She quarrels with all the scholars out of school, uses large rocks and clubs as weapons of defense, and flies from one end of the seat to the other in school. Harry Williams is full of fun all the time. It keeps me pretty busy to look out for 32 children and hear all their lessons every day. Running a classroom with 32 students of all different ages would be a challenge for an experienced adult. It's no wonder 15-year-old Lillias has some trouble. The week after the letter we just heard, she's so tired that her mother has to write on her behalf. Dear Ferdy and Maddie, Lily was going to write to you tonight, but she was so tired she could not. She has had bad luck today and a good crying spell tonight. It is a common thing to see the new beginners crying. Some get discouraged and leave the first week. I hope you are all happy tonight. Sounds like trial by fire. In the following passage, John Pendleton is writing from Cuba to his 9-year-old son Andrew in 1847. He writes of the dress and customs of Cuba, as well as some American history. John is sure to include moral and religious instruction in his letters to his son. John Pendleton was lost at sea that year, so these letters were to be the last instruction that Andrew got from his father. Help Uncle James drop potatoes and corn, etc. Whatever you do, strive to be pleasant and kind to all about you. Be neat and orderly in your person and manners. And when I arrive home, if I should ever be so happy, I hope to find no shovel or hoe or axe or any other obstacle lying slovenly about the dooryard. Keep everything in its place, and then you will be able to find anything you wish without delay or trouble. The next is written by Joanna Colcord, who grew up on ships with her family. But in 1892, it was her turn to stay home and go to school. At home in Maine, she writes to her family on the bark Harvard in the port of Hong Kong. Dear folks at Hong Kong, yesterday, Hope, Ethel, Inez, Eve, Florence, and myself went up in the old attic over the hall and had a lovely time. Hope had her hair down and a sort of turban on her head made of Ethel's neckerchief, and was draped in a plaid shawl, and was an Arabian princess, though she said she would be Queen Elizabeth. Ethel said she was a Grecian, but I couldn't see the resemblance. Inez fixed herself up in black crepe and said she was a mourner, but couldn't help giggling. Eve was a continental belle. We had a grand march, waltz, and quadrille. We made the worst mess of the quadrille you ever saw. I got some books at the library. I do wish I could be with you. It sometimes seems to me as if my heart would break if I couldn't see you. I do miss you awfully. The next are excerpts from the diary of Emma Pendleton. She is 15 when she starts this diary in the year 1863. Sunday, February 15th. It has been so unpleasant today that I could not go to church, so I have stayed at home. It has looked very dismal and lonely today, but I ought not to murmur when there are so many poor creatures that are worse off than I am. Uncle Bailey said that when he was up in the country, that he saw women and children that hardly had clothes enough to cover their nakedness. So I see that, as near home, there is so much suffering. How happy we had ought to be that we are in better circumstances. February 17th. I've been down to Uncle Phineas's pond this evening to a skating party. There are about 50 there. Some of the girls have got so they can skate well, but it is the first time that I have had them on, so I can do but little. I guess I shall try and learn how. It has been a nice day and a splendid evening. February 24th. Stayed home today. Mary has gone up to Miss Mary Parks today to cut her dress. I have been down to Mrs. Treat's this evening. She has had a wood chopping this afternoon. Her husband is in the army. Eliza and I had a ride this evening with Timothy Pendleton. March 12th. There has been a great deal of sleigh riding today. There were 15 sleighs went up to Monroe, and about 20 went up to Frankfurt. April 21st. Emma Avail was here to tea. I have been to singing school this evening. May 6th. Mary and I have been out this afternoon making calls. We first called on Mrs. Bentley Park. She has a small babe. Then we called on Mrs. William Ford. He has been quite sick, but is somewhat better. I was up to Eliza this evening. May 8th. This morning, Celesta and Sarah and myself and I cleaned the schoolhouse. We were the only 3 that went out of that place. We lugged our water and our wood. I think the girls are smart in this place. May 28th. There was a very sad event happened yesterday off the island. A gentleman and his wife and daughter were coming from Belfast, and the boat capsized, and the gentleman was drowned. He exerted himself to save the ladies, and was so exhausted that he drowned. The Treat boys saved them. Mary has been to the corner today making Aunt Esther a bonnet. July 6th. There was not more than 1/3 of the school present, a great many sick with the mumps. News came today that our folks had captured Lee and his army. I hope it may be so. Wednesday, July 8th. I picked about 1 pint of strawberries tonight. July 22nd. I have been raspberrying this afternoon. Got 2 quarts. August 27th. Dr. Emery came to see Maria this morning. He thinks she has the typhoid fever. Jenny Littlefield and I are going to sit up with her as we have to give her medicine every 2 hours. November 2nd. I have not had a vacation for some time, so I must improve my time. I arose bright and early this morning and have done all the washing. Got done about 11 o'clock. I have been sewing this afternoon and knitting this evening. Eliza, Joseph, and Martha have been here this evening. November 9th. Mary has been cooking. Mother is not well. I am making my new calico dress. May 20th. I have begun with the first of national arithmetic. I'm going to take astronomy and history. I study grammar and parse. We choose sides when we spell. So Lisa and I are the choosers this week. I've got the best on my side now, but may lose them tomorrow. September 2nd. I stayed at home this forenoon and worked on my bracelet. The girls and I have been to Stockton to a dance this evening. October 12th. I got up early this morning and went to washing. We got our clothes out before school and then went to school. Saturday, October 17th. I arose bright and early this morning and went to work. In the first place, I washed all of Nancy's dishes, then washed quite a lot of clothes. I am quite tired tonight. Thank you very much for joining us here today at Penobscot Marine Museum. Thank you to our members and donors. This programming has been made possible in part by the National Endowment for the Humanities, Exploring the Human Endeavor. Take care.